Guillem Balague. Yeah.
Right.
Guillem,
Hello, Robbie.
how are you doing?
I thought we said about in 10 minutes time.
Oh, is it? Oh, you know what? I must have missed my times. I could see another person lined up to come up, but we get you on early, and we'll get the next person on after that. But it's great to have you on. I was saying earlier at the start of the show that you was the first person to say that Aubameyang was coming to Arsenal. I remember that. I remember you came on, we'd done that show, and you said he's coming, and he did come.
Yes, sometimes the information you get, you put it all together, and it happens. Sometimes it's difficult to understand that when things don't happen, that not so much that it's been predicted, but you explain that it's happening. There's so many reasons why transfers don't take place. But that one, there were a lot of things in favor for it to happen. First of all, the player thought that he was ready for that jump, and it's something that he had dreamt for a while. What's interesting as well, for instance, in terms of things not happening, and with Aubameyang himself, is that Barcelona approached him, and then the decision was not to move. So yeah, sometimes you have to have the perfect storm for a move of that caliber to take place. I think it's worked well, don't you think?
It has worked well, but I'm going to ask you now, part two of my question: is he going to stay? Because now he's getting linked with Real Madrid, and he's getting linked with Barcelona. Though you of course know Spanish football inside out. Do you think one of those two will come in for him? If we even get football back, but do you think those two will seriously come in for him?
You have to understand, and I think we all do, that the situation has changed so dramatically that any possibility of big transfers this summer, or perhaps even in the next two windows, are out of place. I know that still a lot of people want to hear the transfer stories. I know the Spanish papers are full of them. They actually have got the Catalan papers full of stories about Neymar and Lautaro Martinez going to Barcelona, etc. The problem is there is no money for it available. So what they're trying to do, the clubs, is to reach out to the clubs that are friendly with and see if swaps could work, loan deals. That's going to be mostly what's going to happen. Yes, there is a good relationship between Barcelona and Arsenal. And yes, when Barcelona were looking for a striker, and they eventually got Braithwaite from Leganés, they wanted either Timo Werner, Aubameyang, or Rodrigo Valencia. And they had the yes from the players under the condition that a deal could take place between the clubs. So it's easy to say yes, by the way. So Barcelona comes to you and you say, yeah, but obviously you have to talk to my club. That doesn't really mean that everything is done, because once you reach the agreement with the club, then you have to go into numbers with the player. But the yes was what Barcelona got from the three of them, if the clubs want to sell us. Eventually, it didn't happen, either of them, because the clubs did not want to sell. That's it. Arsenal said, no way, we're not after selling Aubameyang. In the case of Real Madrid, as well as the context of it, that is that, Real Madrid want Mbappé and will save as much money as possible until they are able to get him. He's not a target to Real Madrid. Real Madrid now have got a problem. I think they've got 36 players, if you count the ones that are at the club and the ones on loan. And they're going to have to take, the future is going to be based on those. As I said, no big transfers are going to take place. No big, massive transfers. The only clubs that have got money are in England. And they don't seem to have the intention, it seems, by why I've been sounding out of the market, of spending big amounts of anybody. And at the same time, they will have to use what they've got and improve what they've got as the main target for next season.
Coutinho at Barcelona, what about him? He's been getting linked with Arsenal. There's been a lot of talk with Arsenal and Chelsea. Coutinho. Could Coutinho be on the move? It does look like Barcelona would like to move him on.
Yes and no. Yet again, Barcelona need to analyze what they can get. If they get a striker like Lautaro Martinez, and there is a lot of money involved in that one, so they want to swap players. Who is there to say that they can use Coutinho in that swap? Yes, they would like him to move on. But at the same time, Quique Setién has said, the manager of Barcelona, I would like to work with him. They haven't worked together. Barcelona needs quality. That's quite clear. You cannot put the hope on a 17-year-old like Ansu Fati for all the big games. Now that Luis Suarez is coming back from injury, and let's see when we play, but when football returns, but in any case, he will be fit. With Messi rested, with Dembele also back, with Griezmann, it may not be placed for Coutinho. But there is a wage situation, and there is a deal with a club that has to take place. Barcelona wants to sell Coutinho. Nobody's going to buy Coutinho. So then a deal, like a loan deal, could happen. But it's all speculation because, as I say, if they want to renew the squad and they want to bring Lautaro Martinez, it may probably make sense to actually give Coutinho to Inter. If they want to go for Neymar this transfer window, and it will be almost an impossible situation, perhaps if they say, well, how about Dembele, who PSG don't want, and Coutinho, who PSG don't want, and try to convince PSG, which they won't be convinced. So it's that situation that we're dealing with. Nothing confirmed. And of course, what Coutinho and his representatives are doing, and that's 100% certain, is talking to Premier League clubs. Coutinho would like to go to the Premier League if he doesn't stay at Barcelona. Barcelona are thinking we can use Coutinho to get one of those players that we need. So all up in the air.
All up in the air. Let me ask you finally, Guillem, of course, you run a football club, right? And
yes.
Everybody's talking. Is that your actual kit? Your actual
first, yeah, the first
kit in the badge.
We've got the blue one. This is the first team, the home kit, if you like.
Very, very nice. Now, listen, everybody's talking about the big clubs and furlough, but it's clubs like your club there. I mean, it must be really tough at the moment.
Yes, we have to keep going, and we have had yesterday a senior committee had a meeting through the Zoom and internet as you're doing now. Today we've got a board meeting, so we have to take decisions in terms of prepare ourselves for what's coming. But meanwhile, we've got cost of things, electricity, heating, etc. Well, not so much heating because it's not being used, but there are things that have to be paid monthly, and there's no money coming in at all. We're very lucky that Top 11, our sponsors, have been always backing us out from the moment they came in 2014. So we will be one of the clubs that will be okay, but you have to also keep everybody together. You have to get the coaches to have an idea of what to do with the players. You have to convince them to stay. So it's not just about the money. It's also to continue with this idea of identity, of club, of being together, which we have to work on. I wouldn't have declared the season void and null. I am one of the chairmen that signed a letter that disagrees with that. That letter has arrived to the FA. I know the council has confirmed the situation, and I know that lawyers are involved. It would be difficult to overturn that, but I just feel that it was done too rushed. I wish that we were treated like everybody else, which hasn't happened. But we'll have to accept that that's the case. You have to look at the whole situation, and I know that the pressure from the Premier League to the players and the players themselves, they want everything to return to normal. I just don't see when normality will take place. It could take months. And if that's the case, perhaps then the decision of the FA to declare our season null and void will make more sense. I just thought it was done too quickly. But yeah, we have to adapt to the new circumstances. The main thing for clubs like ours is to make sure that somehow somebody can help us pay the costs of things until the moment that football returns. Not everybody's as lucky as we are. And that means leagues will have to do the bid by perhaps cancelling the fees for next season. The FA will have to do their bid as well to provide some grants, which they are doing, and just hope for the best. But I know that clubs are already suffering, and will take them away from the leagues, which will be sad. Yeah,
well, listen, Guillem, I really appreciate you coming on today. I know that even with the lockdown, you're still very much in demand, very, very busy, and good luck with the club. I hope that everything, once we do eventually get football going again, that you guys can get back on that even keel. It's going to be really fun. We really appreciate you coming on today.
Good luck with everything, Robbie, and don't forget, please donate.
Please donate.
Have the opportunity to do so.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
The coronavirus has not just affected the world of football, but has affected everybody. But you know what? We can defeat it. If you're displaying any of the symptoms, always make sure that you self-isolate. I know it's a terrible time, but we will defeat the coronavirus. We will be back.